everyone. Welcome to Public Global. Mr. Satish Jha is with me, and we are so fortunate that Mr. Satish Jha will be telling something about the recent visit which Mr. Modi had in USA, his long cherished desired visit. Uh, Mr. Satish, first of all, Mr. Modi and Trump had a joint press conference, which we all were expecting that this will be the most uncomfortable part of his entire visit, and somehow Modi ji faced that. Uh, and the uncomfortable question came. The question of Adani came there, and ji reacted in a way that no one understands what he was telling. He was talking of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, he was talking of all these things. But in the end, he said it is a personal matter, and personal matters are not talked. On the same hand, he also told before that Elon Musk is a personal friend, is a family friend, and he knows Elon Musk for decades when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat. So, how you see the entire thing, especially the Adani part of it, because that is important. Adani still has 5 indictments in America. He's not out of problem, and it looks like that Adani part has not been sorted out. Your first reaction on the entire press conference, and then Adani. Satish Jha sir.
I think the press conference from the body language was very clear. Trump has become the new emperor. And as if India came to pay obeisance to Trump, because there was a danger that he might take actions which may not be favorable to India. But Trump has stuck to his guns. Even before the press conference and his visit to the US, he did what he wanted, the tariff. Tariff is the new T word. T word is Trump. Second T was tariff. Third T was transactional. So that's the way the T word of is kind of working. And I'm using Modi's style of always finding letters for everything and so on and so forth. But the fact is, his whole body language, the way he responded to things, how he paid kind of obeisance to Trump, that basically made it very clear that India realizes that Trump is different from other presidents. Trump's America is not the same America as where you have chance to negotiate and stand up. Is not going to, like Biden, allowed a few things to happen, which in my opinion were quite undiplomatic, and India was taking different positions. In case of Trump, there are no ifs and buts. It's just there's a Trump, and everybody can come and pay respects to him and butter him up, flatter him to get something. So he flattered Trump as much as he could. That was a basic message here. He had no say in the matter. Agenda was scripted. The meeting was granted for India request, but agenda was scripted by Trump, and that was it. Secondly, as far as Adani and Musk is concerned, first thing, Modi ji has been always saying, हमारा परिवार नहीं है, मैं तो अकेला हूँ. तो भाई पारिवारिक मित्र कैसे बन गए तुम जब when you are a family individual, not a family person, how do you have a family friend? So that's the kind of first thing. Second, Musk, the way he came, his body language, he came as is a very casual visit with children, Trump, wife, family, and so on and so forth. And he comes to meet the prime minister as a very, very casual, the same man who did not come on the appointed time of his own volition. When he was supposed to come to India, he cancelled India visit, went to China. The reason is that Trump has been looking at Indian bureaucracy and the negotiation with India is a very difficult one. So India is a difficult country. That message has been given by Trump as well. But Musk went there to tell them, to tell the camera and send the message. Well, he may be difficult, but as far as I'm concerned, for me, it's a casual affair. So that's the message that has gone on the Musk side. But Musk is obviously a much bigger deal than Adani. Let's not forget that. Musk is 5 times richer than Adani. Musk is a leader of the world, and he is actually almost a de facto president as far as US is concerned, because he is the one, whatever he says, Trump has to say yes to that. Don't forget, this man, Musk, paid something like $279 million to Trump campaign, and he is seen to be major reason that Trump won. Elon Musk has
Yes.
200 million followers. Trump has 100 million followers. Elon Musk probably tweeted more than a few hundred messages in support of Trump. That created a whole kind of community of people who began believing in Musk because of the way he was messaging. And Trump only won by 6 million extra votes, if you see. And he's looking at 200 million being his audience where he could reach. So Musk played a much larger role, both in terms of money and influence, in getting Trump to the White House. So Trump is beholden to him, and he treats the government. He doesn't go anywhere as a formal protocol person. He walks in, his jeans are good enough, his t-shirt is good enough, his cap, things which are not accepted in formal environments. He has said a goodbye to them all. So that's the kind of position he has said. The message is this: Modi maybe whatever, maybe for me he's a casual affair. That's the way it is.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and Adani, because nothing happened, Adani was the reason, but Trump is not giving in on Adani at all because he knows the cost of it. Okay,
Yeah.
so he did not. There's nothing Adani that's happened so far. Yes.
Right. And we have also seen that the way Musk carries himself, he also tries to communicate with the other fellow that I give
To
no.
whom?
For me, you are nothing. Now,
That's
coming back to before I come on the tariff part, because that was something on which both Prime Minister Modi and Trump, President Trump, both have said. I will also talk on something which we have not discussed in the Hindi version: the immigrants. Now, Modi ji meekly accepted, yes, who in the world can say that illegal immigrants are the correct thing? But the immigrant, the way they have been sent, no one asked a question, the way they were treated. Modi ji was silent. And Modi ji was also silent on the visa issue, because visa is something which an average Indian is affected, especially the people who are coming out of engineering colleges and MBA and management colleges. Mr. Jha, you might be surprised to know that the average waiting time in India for a visa interview is more than 400 days, which is one
yes.
day, 2 day, 3 days. In China, Japan, things like that, it is the next day, or not more than 2 or 3 days. In India, it is more than 400 days. Modi ji was absolutely silent on that. Neither no one asked this question. On the immigrant thing, I will ask your reaction.
Okay, immigrant issue. If you saw, it's been repeatedly said that more than 700,000 undocumented Indians are in America. Basically means the people who went to America, they went for a limited period and stayed on. They become undocumented. You see, those who go through dinkies, they're different kind of people. But those who go overstay the course, they are undocumented because the term is expired. There are such more than 700,000. Number varies from 700,000 to million. We don't exactly know what the number is, but that's the number talked about because it's not easy to basically figure out. And so that's one. But Modi decided to basically play it easy on that by saying what the position is, who can disagree with them. People shouldn't do that, etc. Then again, he talked about the people who come here, they're poor, they have aspirations, they have the dream, and so on and so forth. He also talked about that. In other words, he tried to play. He didn't have a role to play. He didn't have place to play. He couldn't play it strongly enough. He just tried to play it as human story as such, and he just gave an answer. But there was nothing really in terms of policy, in terms of negotiation, so on and so forth. From America's point of view, India's undocumented are a minor story. Their story comes from the South of America, much more, because they're looking at people who vote for the Democrats. They come from there, they're made to vote for Democrats after some time, and that is where the Republican Democratic challenge are rising. And that's what the immigrant story is in American context. The undocumented story, ICE is there, and he praised ICE anyway, that they would do a good job, etc. He's been praising them. So what Modi said, he didn't say anything at all about immigration. And H-1B particularly, that's most important part of India's progress is H-1B visa. Other visa is less important. But if you see the context, to avoid visa situation, American universities will be starting their campuses, offshore campuses in India. So it will reduce the pressure on Indian students in seeking visa, etc. as well, that will be one solution. And incidentally, it was said that the student coming to US has served both countries well. America makes $8 billion a year from that. Not a big amount, but not a small amount either. And India sends so many people, and many of them stay back. So it basically it's been a kind of working well for both. But when they create, say, 100 campuses in India, what will happen is the basic quality of education in India will improve. All these mushrooming of universities, etc., in India will probably impact it and stop, and visa pressure on them will also be reduced, and the income of Americans will not be reduced. That's what is going to be the outcome of this kind of silence on the visa issue, because visa issue is the most important from either student point of view. H1B, H1B is not coming because right now H1B is okay. So why rake up the issue? So I understand that. But the bigger issue is the normal tourist or the family visits of people. In fact, a few secretaries have asked me, since the former ambassador to the US, I knew him, and they knew that I knew him. So asked me, requesting, and it's a challenge for them because there's a process. They've created a process. When you go out of the process, there is a rule for that also. How do you go out of the process, and so on and so forth. But in India, they have given it because this is India-US relationship. Is somewhere something is missing, and that should have been the biggest issue in terms of how to reduce this 400 days gap from two countries' point of view. If you have good relationship, bring it down to the same like in China. China is the same day visa policy. In India is 400 days. Even for the secretary's wife and children is 400 days. And many people are not able to basically, even after getting admission and appointments or whatever, they're not able to use it. So there is some discrimination happening with India, and this is very obvious. And that matter was not picked up. So you look at the priorities. Priorities were set by the US. They were not set by India. If India had set the priorities, probably it would come up. But so nothing was said in that context. So what Mr. Modi has basically done is, there was some reason to be so eager to visit Mr. Trump. I don't think that worked out, and that showed in his body language in the press conference to me. That's my view.
Okay. Now, I will come on another issue. More or less, President Trump has said that by 2030, our total trade will be 500 billion. For the purpose of clarity, I have just checked. In 2024, our total trade, India-USA trade, was 129.2 billion. So it is going to be more than 300 times what he's proposing. But the balance of trade is in our favor at the moment. I will give you the figures. In 2024, we exported 87.4 billion and we imported 41.8 billion from America. Our trade surplus was 45.6 billion, which Trump was absolutely clear that I have to change this. And he said the tariff is something, whatever you impose, I will impose. And he even said that the highest tariff is imposed by Indians, and we are not able to sell our cars. So he is also saying, and he has also given a shopping list that you have to buy these things from us. So on the tariff part, what you see in near future?
Yeah, so one thing has been said, we can negotiate that, but until then, I'm going to make it simple for you. We will do what you do. We will reciprocate. Reciprocity is our new principle, and so there's no need to negotiate also. If you want to negotiate, sit down, negotiate. But I'm giving you, whatever you do, I'm going to do the same thing. You also thank them for doing some minor things, etc. But still, America did a few things. America sent a message by sending the immigrants, undocumented or illegal immigrants, to India the way it did. That issue is not American issue. That's only Indian issue. That cannot be raised because when you're talking bigger things, you don't take smaller things. That's one. Second, that whenever this $500 billion will have a lot of energy in it, energy, oil, gas in it. Okay, and it will have some armaments also in it. But the first thing is, immediately India has to balance the trade. So today, the trade is about $45 billion against American interest. That means 130 minus 45 is 85. You divide 85 by 2. So India, in other words, America exports only about something close to 40 to $43 billion to India, right? They want to make it the same as India. It's about say 85, $90 billion in this year itself. How do you do that? So for that, a shopping list must have been given for this year, so that this year itself budget is balanced. I mean, trade is balanced. In 500, if it's 250 billion, that require a different kind of economy. Can India become the size and powerful economy that you require in 5 years to have a $500 billion trade with the US? If today US is only selling India $45 billion worth of stuff, can it begin to sell 5 times in 5 years? What kind of economy India will have to become to do that? Unless, of course, you just buy oil and gas, then you can do that. Okay, fine, they've done that. What will you sell to America worth 250 billion? Can you do that? So those are the kind of challenges which are going to surface. And to be a $500 billion trading partner, India has to be a different kind of economy. And America has to need the stuff that India makes. So there has to be some serious changes in the economic pattern. And by the way, to be able to have a $500 billion trade with the US, India will have to be at least an $8-9 trillion economy by 2030. Will that be possible? I don't think it looks like by any measure. I think we'll be happy if finally we touch the $5 trillion mark by 2030. That's a possibility. For that, I can see not a 130, but about $300 billion balance of trade between the two countries together. So I can see that 300. I cannot see 500 unless there's major overhauling or transformation of the economy. So that's a good aspect. By the way, most of these things are very aspirational. Most MOUs are aspirational. They don't realistically materialize, but they throw an aspiration in front of you. They set a target to achieve. So that's what happens in these summits or heads of state level meetings. Yeah.
Great.
Or heads of government meetings.
I also have an apprehension that East India Company came to India, and then then the British started telling us that how to save our borders. We will tell you, we will save your borders, we will defend your borders. Some sort of same thing I saw today. I mean, the language was that we Americans will tell you how to defend, and we will defend your borders. So I found a shift from the East India Company to Trump India Company, because he was also telling of the defense budgets. He said we are spending more than 900 billions. He said China is spending more than 450 billions. Russia is spending 130 billions. He never said anything about India, but I have just checked. Our budget for 2024-25 was 72 billion. This time it is 75 or 76 billion. We are nowhere. So now Trump is also telling us that, look, we are going to tell you and we are going to defend your borders. This is, I think, is a very alarming situation. Satish.
No, but he is saying the same thing since 2017, that NATO is okay as long as you pay for me. You pay me, I'll defend your borders. So he's saying, I'm the only one who can defend your borders. You can't. He's telling everyone, you can't, I can. So pay me, I'll defend your borders. So in that situation, America becomes basically not just defense supplier. America becomes a defender, whether it supplies or not. So it's supplying outcome now. It's supplying peace, which also means you depend on America, which means America has now been this powerful, where America can say, I'll take care of everything. So that's Trump style. Trump has been saying this from 2016-17, that NATO is okay as long as they pay. But they're not paying, that's the problem. As long as you pay, I'm very happy having a NATO. So he will say the same thing to India. You pay for it, I'll take care of your defenses. You pay for it, I'll make sure your borders are safe. That's what he's trying to send the world. America is the most powerful country. I'm the most powerful man in the world. Come to me, I'll solve your problems. But nobody has said it as brazenly as Trump has said. But you're right. But he has also made an offer to the world, China and others. Let's all cut our defense budget to half. By the way, he sounds like a Nobel Peace Prize winner, as if he's competing for that examination. He's trying to make
Hey,
the world peaceful. And his people who love him, they say in the 4 years that he was president, there was no new war started. And now he's
and
saying, I don't, yes, but please.
please finish.
So no, again, his promise again in these 4 years is this term is that he will not let a new war start, and he will shut down all the wars, and he will shut down on his own terms, even if it means turning a people's nation into a resort, like in Gaza.
Yeah. And I feel sorry about Ukraine because Trump now openly says that he said we have spent $200 billion dollars in Ukraine war. Why I should? I mean, he's telling you live with your war. I'm not interested. Either you surrender to. In other words, he's absolutely clear that I have talked to Putin. You sit and you sort it out. Whether you lose your land, you lose your whatever it is. I think that Ukraine is one who has suffered the maximum when Trump in this Trump 2 regime. Ukraine is the hardest hit country in the world. That is what I feel.
No, I would say that he said something very interesting and very accurate. He said the whole thing began by Ukraine's aspiration to join NATO, or somebody telling Ukraine we can get you into NATO. If Ukraine had no aspiration to be in NATO, that's the beginning of the war. And it's before Putin, the same thing was said, and with Putin, the story is the same. So take that thing out, and the war is over. So NATO membership cannot be given to Ukraine. He just said, and Zelensky wanted that. Secondly, the amount of money Zelensky has taken from the world for the war and lost his people and some territory, etc., it has made Zelensky rich. It's made a lot of people rich in the process by bringing the money. What have they got out of it? So he is saying, trade me your rare earth materials. I will take that in return. If you want money from me, I'll take that rare earth material. Now, Zelensky tried to basically sound a little despondent and protest that how can a negotiation happen without me on the table? He's okay, all right, you can also sit at the table. If you can negotiate better, do that. Otherwise, the terms are very simple. No NATO membership, the territory taken by Russia remains with it, and the war ends. I don't want to see any suffering. The way he's saying is, I am the boss, I'm the Lord, I'm the emperor. And I've told you, I don't want to see any human suffering here. I don't want to see death fields. Can you imagine the language there? No president of US ever had. They have said aspirationally, he's saying is ordering it. The gap is that every president would have said, well, I wish that, I hope that, I wish that. He said, just do it. That's a big change in the international perspective now. Our geopolitics is where a man can say, just do it. And I've told you so. I don't want to say anything else. Just imagine, if you notice that. This is the change. And that's what has made him the president. That people believe that here is a man who can dictate, who can say things. By the way, dictators in democracy, people like dictators for some reason. They like them to be Democrat first and then become dictator. Indira Gandhi, when Sanjay Gandhi was around during emergency, I had never heard a bad word except from politicians against Sanjay Gandhi. Except from politicians. And also emergency was very popular with the middle classes. We shouldn't forget that. We should have a society where it should not be the case. We want a society where middle class doesn't want dictators as such, but they like order. They don't like chaos. So those years, whenever my memory is, it was hard. I can't recollect from anyone except the students and the political people who were against emergency. But the common middle class person was not. And they are the bhakts of Trump. Because he can stand up and say the way he just said. He said, I don't want these death fields. I don't want any war. I don't want any human bloodshed. So to that, this is what it is. What caused is not membership, take it off the table. And if Ukraine gains, people asked him, what Ukraine is gaining? Ukraine is gaining. They lost with 3 presidents, and they're not losing with me. That is their gain. Their gain is that they're not losing anymore. So I think Trump will be a
So,
very different kind of president, very different kind of president. You know,
and
my view is
yeah,
about him. I've
Satish
never
bhai,
been able
my
to
view
like
is
him.
that the takeaway from this is I'm absolutely clear. Trump himself has summed up the entire thing. What Trump has gained from this, he has already said that in 3 weeks he has established not only in America but the entire world that he is the boss, as you rightly said. Now Trump is again and again establishing, and by his press conferences, by his statements, by his orders and things like that, that he is going to lead the world for next 4 years. Thanks so much for joining. Thank you.
Namaskar.